What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to the Full 90. Today we are here for the week 31 predictions of the Premier League, and I want to give a massive shout out to Morongoa Adele. Hopefully I pronounced your name right, but they had a pretty decent week of predictions. No one was predicting West Brom to beat Chelsea in the way that they did, but they predicted Liverpool to beat Arsenal, Man City to beat Leicester with both teams to score. I thought there were some pretty good predictions in there, as well as West Ham to beat Wolves away, which myself, I also predicted as well. So congratulations to you, and if you do want a chance to be featured in the next episode of the Premier League predictions, then please do leave your predictions down in the comments below. If we take a little look back at the week 30 predictions, it was a bit of a topsy-turvy week. Rather than, I would say, poor predictions, I would say very surprising games. There were a lot of shocking results, I would say, but there were some decent tips in there. We had West Ham to win away and both teams to score. Everton threw away a victory they should have got. We had Man United to win over 1.5 goals. Aston Villa, Fulham, we had both teams to score and under 4.5 goals. I thought that was pretty good. And of course, Leeds to beat Sheffield United. So there were some interesting predictions, some not so good. Obviously, the Chelsea-West Brom one, I don't know how exactly you could figure that one out. Also, I just realised actually Man City didn't beat Leicester with both teams to score. They won 0, but we'll move on. Man City and both teams to score is what I predicted in the previous game week, but Leicester were unable to find the back of the net. So kicking it off with week 31, we have Fulham up against Wolves. Fulham, they were unable to get the 3 points against Aston Villa after taking the lead. They conceded 3 and just absolutely capitulated. And Wolves unable to claw back from 3-0 down against West Ham. This is going to be a very interesting fixture. Fulham and Wolves both draw a fair few games, I would say, but it's difficult for me to predict Fulham games these days because they're a decent-ish team and they are playing a little bit better than they were at the start of the season, and you feel like there is the added incentive of trying to escape relegation that might give them the edge of their opponents. But against, obviously, Aston Villa, it didn't really work out. Wolves, I didn't predict they'd beat West Ham, given the form that West Ham are in, so you never know who's going to turn up, because after Wolves conceded those few goals to West Ham, they started playing much better, and I think if that Wolves shows up to Fulham, I could see an away win to Wolves. But given the situation, I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw between the two teams, and my tip is going to be both teams to score at 2.05, because I think that value is pretty spicy. Next up, it's Manchester City up against Leeds. City in Champions League action, getting a late winner against Borussia Dortmund thanks to Phil Foden. I think they're going to beat Leeds fairly comfortably here. You could give Leeds a goal. Man City probably will rotate their squad somewhat, but their B team is strong enough to beat this Leeds team and many other teams in the Premier League. So I'm just going to go for a 3-0 win to Manchester City. And my tip, the only place I could really find value, to be honest, was Man City halftime, Man City full time at 1.83, because I made the mistake of saying that Leicester would score against City, but their defense was just far too resolute for that. So although Leeds are very attack-minded, it wouldn't surprise me if Man City did keep another clean sheet here. Now, next up after that, we have Liverpool up against Aston Villa. Last time these two teams played, I predicted a 2-0 win to Liverpool, and last time these two teams played, Liverpool did score twice. They just forgot to not concede 7 at the other end. So I think this is going to be a very different story. Liverpool, they're pushing for top 4 after their result against Real Madrid in the Champions League. They still can potentially progress further, but it's looking much less likely now that they'll progress this round or win the Champions League at all. So if they want to get to the Champions League next season, they will need to get top 4, and they definitely have a very good chance of doing so. And I think they're going to start that by beating Aston Villa here. So I'm going to go for a 2-0 win to Liverpool, and my tip is simply going to be Liverpool to win at 1.53. I didn't really know what else to go with there. After that, we have Crystal Palace up against Chelsea. Chelsea, I mean, they're playing at the time of recording against Porto in the Champions League tonight. I have no idea how that goes, but regardless of the Champions League, they're going to want to bounce back in the Premier League after a very disappointing performance against West Brom. Being down to 10 men doesn't excuse the performance they put on and the tactics actually chosen by Thomas Tuchel. I think they're going to bounce back. Crystal Palace, not the best team. They were able to get a result or a draw at least against Everton, but I think Chelsea are just a quality above. I'm going to go for a 2-0 away win to Chelsea, and my tip is the Old Faithful Chelsea win and over 1.5 goals at 1.95. Now, the next fixture, a very interesting one. It's Burnley up against Newcastle. The last time these two teams met at Turf Moor, Burnley won this fixture 1-0, and I'm not going to delay any further. I'm going to go for another 1-0 win to Burnley. Although Newcastle, similar to Fulham, have much to play for, trying to make sure that Fulham don't get out of the relegation zone and, you know, send them back to the Championship. Newcastle haven't been performing too well lately. They did get the 2-2 draw against Tottenham, but you could argue that was more Tottenham crumbling than Newcastle actually doing the business required. Burnley are much more defensively solid than Tottenham were in that game. So I'm going to go for the 1-0 win. My tip is going to be Burnley draw no bet at 1.57, because I'm reluctant to put under 2.5 goals because I did that tip for Burnley last week and there were 5 goals in the fixture. So I was struggling to find any sort of tip for this fixture. Now, the next one, a very, very exciting one in the top 4 race. We have West Ham up against Leicester, 3rd up against 4th. West Ham are in red hot form. They're looking so good. Jesse Lingard's found a new lease of life, and I think this is going to be a very, very exciting game, and I don't see a winner here. I think it's going to be high scoring. I think both teams will score, and I'm going to go for a 2-2 draw. My tip is going to be both teams scoring over 2.5 goals at 2.25, because West Ham have been absolutely smashing it, so I don't see Leicester, as good a team as they are, going away and winning. I think both teams would kind of be happy with the point, but obviously they would both prefer getting the 3 points. But speaking of preferring getting the 3 points, next up, another crucial fixture in the top 4 race. It's Tottenham up against Manchester United. Tottenham well rested with their lack of European football, and Manchester United haven't yet played Granada in the Europa League at the time of recording this, but I expect they'll do just fine there, even if they don't have to field a full-strength team. But I'd imagine they probably will take it very seriously regardless. This is a very, very difficult one to predict. I can predict this one being under 2.5 goals, I would say. Another fairly boring meeting between the big six. I'm going to give Manchester United the benefit of the doubt and say they don't get another 0-0, because we can't look past the fact that Tottenham beat them 6-1 the last time they played. So I'm going to go for both teams to score and go for a 1-1 draw. And my tip, I was struggling to find value again, so I'm going to go for a penalty in the match at 2.75. Tottenham and Man United, they're tricky teams, and they've got some players like Son and Martial, Rashford, players that play in such a way that lend themselves to getting more penalties. So a penalty in the match at 2.75, I think, is pretty good value. Doesn't have to go in, just has to be given and taken. So that's my tip for that game. Next up after that, we have Sheffield United up against Arsenal. Arsenal were swept aside by Liverpool, and Sheffield United unable to get anything from Leeds. I think Arsenal, they have to bounce back here. I don't know how much realistically they have to play for in terms of European spots in the Premier League, whether that's Europa League, most likely not Champions League, but they are going to want to bounce back here. Sheffield United, it's a formality at this point. They're going to get relegated, and I think Arsenal will be able to bounce back, give themselves a bit of confidence going into the Europa League after playing Slavia Prague. Obviously, I don't know the result of that either, because it hasn't happened yet, but I'm going to go for a 2-1 away win to Arsenal. But my tip is going to be both teams to score at 2.0. I think the last two times Arsenal played Sheffield United, they won 2-1, and with the way Arsenal have been playing lately, they haven't kept a clean sheet in a long time, so I'm going to go for Sheffield United to get that consolation goal once again. After that, we have West Brom up against Southampton. We can't get too carried away with the performance against Chelsea, but it was a fantastic performance nonetheless. Southampton, they beat Burnley 3-2. I did predict they'd beat Burnley by a goal. I just didn't think it would be in such emphatic form. So I do think Southampton are going to get the win here. Whilst West Brom, like I said, had a fantastic result against Chelsea, Southampton are the better team. They have a higher level of quality of players. Southampton are a Premier League team. West Brom are looking like a Championship team who sometimes have a very good day. And I think given that, I'm going to go for a 2-1 away win to Southampton. And my tip is going to be Southampton double chance and over 1.5 goals at 1.72 should West Brom manage to claw back a 1-1 or a 2-2 draw. Now, the final fixture for week 31 of this Premier League game week is Brighton up against Everton. And to my knowledge, Everton have never won at the Amex Stadium ever in their history, or at least in the recent history as far back as I could see. So this is going to be a very, very interesting fixture, because Everton just came off of a 1-1 draw with Crystal Palace, which was not expected. You'd expect Everton to do better in that fixture. And Brighton, they lost 2-1 to Manchester United, but they don't have a great record against Man United. They're still playing attractive, good-looking football. They've done enough, basically, to stay up in the Premier League for another season. And I don't know how to separate these two teams. You know, you look at it at the start of the season, you think Everton are going to win this game, but they've thrown away a game like this too often, and Brighton do look decent. So I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw, and my tip is going to be both teams to score at 1.95. So that is going to do it for my Week 31 Premier League predictions. If you did enjoy this video, please do drop a like on it. Leave your predictions down in the comments below, as I said, for a chance to be featured in the next episode, and I will see you in the next video very soon.